What did they tell us then? Under President Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, that I won't forget, September is when that school fell. October 31st, there was supposed to be a report about the safety standards in schools. Till tomorrow. Till tomorrow. Nothing. That report has not been made public. A very public show of destruction happened when the country's children died. Then you want to take that report and you want to hide it under a bushel? You must be on drugs. And the very potent kind. Because I will be upset. And the thing is that we don't get upset enough that children die and then we say, it's just a tragedy. We'll do better. No. Yes, I'm a journalist. I share information. I can also then be in a space whereby we lead conversation in a certain direction where we're saying, for the people, you must do better.
True.
How do you explain to me that functioning human beings head task forces and you see, Dennis, you commission someone.
Yeah.
You commission someone and you say, you know what, there's a problem here. So what you need to do is you need to go around schools. And you need to either tell them that if you've not met 1, 2, 3 standard, or not even that, without even going very far, you need to do your study and tell us the reason why we are seeing these things happening. Changuli was terrible.
Yeah.
The people who buried their sons in Changuli today, they've not forgotten. Those who had to bury stumps because their children were charred beyond recognition, they've not forgotten. Horrible, horrible things like that have happened, and they still happen. People thought that Russia was the last, and here we are again with this kind of thing. So they told you to go and find out what happens around here. You commission them to do it. They come and they tell you, we are the experts. You put us here because we're the experts. They come and tell you, now, if you don't want this kind of thing, hey God, if you don't want this kind of thing to happen again, this is what you must do. You say, thank you very much, Mr. Dennis. You take the thing and you put it under the table. Then it happens again. Then you come and say, you know what? Let's get someone else to come and form a commission, task force, whatever the hell they call it. Then they come and tell you, you see, that thing those guys told you 7 years ago to do. Yeah. You need to actually do it. Because if you do it, we will solve this problem and we will not have such a bad case again. Tower. Then you say, thank you very much, Mr. Dennis. I'm very grateful. We even have ceremony. We even serve tea and mandazi on the day you're presenting the report. Then everybody goes home. Then, 15 years later, no, even between that, David Koech did one for 2008. David Koech sat and they did one, 2008.
I think there are actually 2 before 2016,
They told you, now, in fact, the words that are being used to the detail, the report that this group came up with mirrors the one that you had before. They were prescriptive. They told you what you needed to do. Did you? No. You were even you as a ministry even came out later and you said, you know what we're going to do now? Even before we register your school, even before we allow you to admit students, we want to ensure that safety standards
are met.
All of these things are met. We will not even give you registration license. We won't. I don't know if it rained and poured and we woke up the next day and then epiphany happened. But those things also didn't take place. Jerry is here telling us how people were in rooms like sausages. In fact, sausages have more space than some of the boarding schools that we see in their dormitories. People have to eat in shifts because the thing is so damn packed. It's true.
Yeah, true.
These are the things that we are talking about.
Yeah.
So in the event that there's fire, there are schools today that have... Look, there are schools today... Because this thing, I'm passionate about it, man. There are schools today where the children are sleeping in the sanatorium because there is no space. God forbid if something happens in that sanatorium. What are you going to tell them? Look, Dennis, please talk because I'm just like...
Now, I hear you. And it's because we have children in these schools. We have gone through these schools. I tell a story of how one day a school somewhere woke up to a reported arson attack that was to happen, and the 20 liters of diesel that had been bought had been stored on a ceiling. On a ceiling. You know what happened? All the ceiling, roofs, and whatever in that school were brought down.
Yes, no, that's the action to go. Yeah.
Because we can't allow this to happen. So all the ceilings were brought down. In the event where it was raining, just know you will do your homework. There is no teaching that will happen because of the noise. But that is a step that was taken. But here we talk about government commissioned reports that the government has in store. Now, what exactly does this report do? Do we have ministries that have come up with implementation mechanisms of the same? No. We talk about district officers, extension officers, who then report back to the ministry or TAC. When they go to these schools, are they just there to look at, okay, fine, how many textbooks do you have?
Do you think they even do that? When they go for the meeting, they see the guy in the front and say, Nyaje, mnaendeleaje, tuko salama, mzuri sana, haya sawa, tuone next year.
Let's assume the quality is they're looking for is on the textbook. But nobody ever bothers to go look at this dormitory based off the architectural plans is supposed to house how many students, and how many students do we have? If we have more students than the capacity that dormitory can hold, then that is a school that does not meet the code set out by the ministry. But this is the story that happens across the country, because remember, here we're talking about dormitories, but remember the same government today tells us that you will go to a class that is supposed to have 45 students, but we have 60 plus, and it's the government that is confirming that to us. Now imagine if an accident, a fire was to break out in that class with students who are more than the capacity that is required.
God forbid.
We look at these things, we gloss over them, and we move. But here's the thing, adult population, the government of this country needs to look at children in schools as people. These are not statistics for you to say we have managed to have 100% transition to secondary schools. These are people with lives, and they equally have a say in this entire project that we call education. Because like you said, the arson incidents that we see in schools is because you go have your githeri, there are weevils, and the child would rightfully say, I don't eat weevils. Children are there. I don't eat weevils. Children are there to be seen, not to be heard. But what are we doing again with ensuring that we meet code? Do we know of the code as the principals? Or do we just hire people to say, oh, this year we've hired 100,000 teachers who are in these institutions? Do teachers themselves even understand the code that we're talking about today? Do they know of these reports that do exist today? Because at some point in a school, you'd find these teachers become the duty master who's in charge of a school at any given point.
Yes.
And if you become a duty master at any given point, then you should be conversant with all the reports and all the details and all the code that are supposed to be met in that school. If you are a duty master and can't even operate a fire extinguisher, then you are a duty master for who exactly?